So Trump's lawyer says it's impossible for him to post bond covering $454 million in civil fraud judgment. We don't really need to. We don't really need to go into a whole lot of detail in this, but basically he broke. Yeah.
This is very. So, do you subscribe to the theory? Because I kind of do. Do you subscribe to the theory that one of the main reasons Trump is so hell-bent on becoming president is because it's the only financially lucrative option he would have left at this point?
I think he's more worried about the criminal problems, but yes.
Like
I actually subscribe to the idea that he never wanted to be president in the first place. That's just something that he did. That wasn't the first time he ran for president. He occasionally just ran for president because his name is a brand, and being able to say presidential candidate along with your brand is good for the brand.
Yeah.
So the fact that he won was not something that he planned on. He didn't know, he wasn't prepared. And he completely messed it up, and he messed it up to a point where if he doesn't become president again and do a bunch of shit that we would all recognize as illegal right now, but the Supreme Court would probably back him up on it at this point. If he can't do that stuff, then he's going to end up facing consequences finally. It's like, he can't be Slippery Don forever. Or Teflon Don, I think it was. Slippery Dick was Richard Nixon.
Teflon Don, nothing sticks to him.
Yeah.
Also, fun thing about Teflon, it's poisonous if consumed.
Mm-hmm. I have killed a canary that way. We didn't know that you weren't supposed to cook with Teflon when you have a canary in the house.
Yup. So, I mean, the Teflon Don works very, very well, because again, poisonous if consumed. Dude's rancid as shit.
Fennec says, who out here eating Teflon? Have you ever cooked on a Teflon pan, though? It's so nice.
I used to.
Yes, you got to be careful with the shit.
I use cast iron now because I can just abuse the shit out of it without any issues.
Oh, yeah. Like, cast iron? I wash my cast iron pans with soap and water. I have put my cast iron pans in the dishwasher. You can fix it later. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Like my cookware, like one of the beautiful things about cast iron too is there are some dishes you have that want to be cooked on the stove first, so you have like the sear on the bottom, and then they want to be transferred directly into the oven.
Yeah.
And with a cast iron, you can just shove the whole thing in the oven. Doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt.
Yep. I mean, there are other frying pans that do that as well. Like there's another one that we use. It's the Rock, which they're good frying pans as well.
Now, like stainless steels, you can do it with ones that are just like the stainless steel cookware you can get from the store.
Rosina's reading ahead in the articles. The bond underwriters won't accept Trump's assets as collateral because he was convicted for lying about his assets value. Yeah, that's basically it. And he bragged that he had $400 million in cash. But yeah, that's still short of the $454 million bond, especially when you add the $85 million that he owes E. Jean Carroll as well. But yeah, he's saying that he can't come up with it because nobody will give him a loan for it, and he doesn't have enough liquid assets.
Wasn't there a thing where he tried to get Mar-a-Lago appraised for a whole lot more than it was worth?
Oh yeah, by like 2 orders of magnitude more than it was worth at least. 3, actually, because I think it was only worth like 18 million, and he tried to have it done like 18 billion.
Jesus fuck.
Liz Kriz just redeemed a hydrate. Thank you, Liz Kriz. Oh, speaking of, I forgot my beer.
You forgot your beer? How dare you? A working man can never forget his beer.
I also have a wonderful partner who I can just utter the phrase, I forgot my beer, and she immediately gets up and grabs a beer.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so what I find most funny about this, though, is that right before this news broke, Trump was begging for money from his followers, from his acolytes. Has been like he actually put out a video where he was like, I know times are tough, I know it's hard right now, but you still need to give me like $5, $10, $25. And
Trump over
it's
here
like,
being the real Loch Ness monster.
yeah,
Can I have like tree fitty?
yeah. So like, I'm sitting here like, this man claims to be a billionaire, and he's like, I am someone who lives off of the donations of generous people who like what I do. So like, I'm not gonna be like, hey, no, never ask people who like you for money, like for support and patronage or whatever. Like that's a legit way to make money. I appreciate the people who give me money that way, and I love that that's a thing that I can do. But like, rule number one is, if you are experiencing tough times right now, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Take care of yourself first. Pay your own bills, and if you have a little bit extra, I would appreciate that if I'm on the list of things that you would consider doing with that extra. You like
this just in, Rhino would appreciate if you're on the list of things, if he's on the list of things you would consider doing.
Yeah, like, no, yeah. But
It took a second.
Yeah, it did, but I got it. I got there. But yeah, but then Trump, who he claims to be a billionaire who has lots and lots of money, that's his big thing. He then gets out there in front of people and is comfortable being like, yeah, I know you're hurting right now, but give me more money, even though I flaunt how rich I am in front of people all the damn time. Like, no, that's violating rule number one. Like I don't know how people can even still give him money at this point. But then, like, that happened right before this all broke, where turns out he's broke. And now that, like, this is coming, he's now going public being like, oh no, I actually have lots of cash on hand, you know, I can cover it myself, but like, you're not really supposed to do that business wise, but like, no, I totally have the cash on hand to cover it, because, you know, that's fine. I have lots of liquid assets. It's like,
If you've
okay,
got the cash to cover it, then cover it, my guy.
but if you got the cash to cover it, well, I can understand, because $450 million, that's a shit ton of money. More money than I am ever going to see in my entire life. If you have that cash on hand, you can just stick it in a bank account and live off of the 2% pathetic interest for that for the rest of your life, and you will live like a king. Well, no, not King Charles, because he is apparently allegedly dead. It's the whole royal family is allegedly dead. Yeah, the fact that Kate Middleton admitted to having doctored the picture just made everything worse. I don't know how closely you've been following this.
I have not, actually.
Okay, so people were speculating about her because she went to the hospital or whatever. Like, I don't fucking care. They're like a bunch of rich idiots who live off of not doing anything. I'm all for abolishing the monarchy. But everybody was going nuts over this because she apparently went to the hospital and hadn't been seen since. So like, oh, well, what's going on there? And there was speculation that like, oh, she's having King Charles' baby secretly. And
okay.
And or like, maybe she murdered someone, maybe someone murdered her, maybe, and like there were all these different conspiracy theories going around. So eventually she released a picture of herself with her kids. It was like, oh, well, here's a picture of me with the kids after I got home from the hospital. And then people started digging around and were like, oh, this looks like it's been doctored. And it looks very similar to this other picture that was released like 3 years ago. And then she just came out and was, or I don't know if it was her, if it was a representative for them, but like somebody came out and was just like, yeah, no, we edited it. And then they didn't explain it whatsoever. They didn't explain why they edited it. They didn't explain why they released an edited picture rather than just snapping a new one. They didn't explain why they used an old. They just, yeah, no, it was edited. And just left it at that. So that, of course, made things so much worse. And now it's like, now it's one of those things where I'm kind of, like, I'm not following all the details, but I'm just kind of following it because I just love to see. Like, one guy, he made a 3D render explaining how, like, because there was another picture of her like in a car, and people were like looking at the background going like, oh, there's this funny thing in the background. And so he made a 3D rendering explaining like, oh, well, in the environment, this is how this could actually happen in reality, and it could be a real picture or whatever. But as part of that demonstration, the camera like went through the car, and in the car he had placed like a cardboard cutout of her like waving like that. And it just like never mentioned it, just like scrolled past it and was like, see, the background's real. And it's just like, I love stuff like this. It's hilarious. Oh, Rosina Keller sent $20, says, here's a donation from a generous person. You're on the list of things I'd consider doing. Thank you, Rosina.
Oh my God.
I appreciate it.
Where's the marker?
My partner just said we're in the market, so... Speaking of which, I think that's enough Trump thing, but that is actually related to our next topic. I've been off the page.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie Chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.